You know what to do. What I want to talk about in this video is why you can't do it. My name is Tito, and on this channel, I love to equip and empower leaders, change agents, those who question life, who knows that there is more to life. That I call a seeker. So if you are a seeker, welcome, okay? But I love to equip and empower because I understand the importance, especially right now in this world. We're living in unprecedented times. You need to understand this information. It is very important. This is urgent, okay, to understand this. And we've been told things, but maybe it's just our understanding of it is not on the level. We don't understand the language, and maybe some things were intentional. All right. So I'm here to help you out because we need you. You are needed. Okay. So this is very important. I have my teaching glasses on today. If you're new here, these are some different glasses that I wear every once in a while. And I'm going to do something different in this video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to draw what I'm talking about so you can see it visually instead of me just talking on screen. If you don't know, my laptop crashed a few months ago. All I have is my phone, my sketchbook. I do have whiteboards, but I'm using them. And we're going to attempt to do this, okay? But what you need to understand is that you may have decided to do a goal. You have the strategy and the plan. You start and stop, and you're not sure what it is. And something keeps pulling you back every time. That's going to make you think that something's wrong with you, right? I understand this, and I'm talking about it because I've experienced it. That's why I talk about everything I do on my channel and also share my journey. So again, subscribe because my videos are different. Sometimes I'm teaching, sometimes I'm showing my life and the journey of it, okay? And every Wednesday I go live, so hit the notification button so you don't miss out on that. Or you can just hit the live tab. They're all recorded. I just created my first physical product, and this helps with nervous system regulation and everything that I'm talking about, especially what I'm talking about today. It's very important to understand this information, like I said. And I created this because I didn't have it and I didn't see it when I was going through all of this, okay? But the thing is, you need to understand that what is happening to you is not a weakness. It's not laziness. You do not need to attach to these thoughts, to this behavioral loop that you're stuck in, to these thought loops that you are stuck in, okay? It is absolutely not a lack of faith either, because you believe that there is something. You're watching this video. Otherwise, you wouldn't even try anymore. You wouldn't even attempt it. You wouldn't even look into it anymore. What is happening, though, is you are stuck in a physiological state. Your body holds the memory, right? Great book. And it keeps the score, right? Body keeps the score. I think that's the book, the title of the book. All right. But what's happening, too, is these thoughts and these emotions, which is really just you picking up on what's happening in your environment energetically, okay? But they're coming into your energy field and they have weight to them. Some thoughts are vibration, if you want, okay? They're denser, and so they're heavier, and now you're carrying this, and you only have a certain capacity level. And if you reach your max capacity, that's going to feel like overwhelm. It's going to feel like burnout. It's going to feel like you're weak, but you're not. Okay, you're not, and I need you to understand that. Stop beating yourself up. It's something you're experiencing and you feel, yes, it is valid, it is true. Okay, we've experienced these things in the past, so we're used to it. Our body holds a memory. So when those things happen, they come into your energy field, you're picking up on it, you're sensing it subconsciously. Doesn't even necessarily mean consciously, because if it was conscious, you could think yourself out of this, but you can't. It's not working. You've tried all the things, it's not working. Is coming in and your body's translating it based off of memory. And it can also trigger things in your body because maybe you had trauma, you had something happen, and it doesn't have to mean some deep childhood trauma or something. It could have just been when you were in your 20s, you physically hurt yourself. And when you hit trauma, when something happens, your body tenses up, and they say the issues are in the tissues. Okay, so it's going to get stuck in your body. Now we're talking about chi, or energy, the flow of it. The energy holds vibration, which is information, and your body interprets it. So if your interpretation is skewed, if you have static in the signal, okay, your interpretation is not going to be clear. Or even if it is, again, if your understanding of it subconsciously is on a certain level, you're not going to be able to process that information in the best way. Okay. So anyway, I don't want to go too deep into that because the whole point is for me to draw it out for you. Okay. So I'm going to get into it. We're going to do a little teaching today, but in a different way. So thank you for joining me in this video. I hope that this empowers you, or at least equips you with something so you can move forward with a new understanding. And at the end of it, I'll also give you a few things that you can do to change your physiological state. I'm not going to leave you hanging, okay? So this is to inform you, but it will also equip you with some things you can do now and start to incorporate in your daily life. Very simple things. We don't need to overwhelm ourselves because we're already overwhelmed and we feel like we can't do anything. So we have to keep this real simple to not add to the stressors and the load and the capacity that you already have, okay? And if you feel like you don't even have a capacity because you have a leak somewhere, it's going to be very simple to where like it's so easy to do. All right, so we're going to jump into it. The whole thing is that this means that you have poor vagal tone. Poor vagal tone. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to show you when I draw it, but your vagus nerve, okay, goes to your gut mainly. And, gut health, we'll get into that later, later in the year. We'll get into it. But that dictates a lot of things. It sends signals to your brain. Your brain sends signals back down. Again, I'm going to show you when I draw it out, but I do want you to understand that that's all it is. You are not weak. You're not shame. You're not fear. You're not doubt. You're not depression. You may be experiencing these things. You may feel these things. But when you shine light on something and you bring awareness to it, it's not as scary. You actually have more power. When you feel like you have more power, now we can do something about it. Okay? I think some things are done intentionally. Understanding of things has been suppressed or skewed. Fear. And then that makes you feel like you're helpless and hopeless. So why would you even try? Now you're stuck in a state where you need to rely on other things, people, systems, stuff like that. And again, just habit loops. So we're going to keep consuming the things because that's the only thing that will give us the dopamine plus make us feel seen and heard. Hopefully you do in this video, but I do want to empower you because you do have power, okay? All right, so let's get into it. I'm going to stop talking right now and show you what I'm actually talking about. All right, here we go. Now, what I was talking about is poor vagal tone. Now, when you have good vagal tone, your parasympathetic nervous system can activate, and that's your rest and digest, all right? And when you're not in your parasympathetic, you're in your sympathetic. So it's sympathizing with you, right? Which means it's trying to protect you. And but that also means that you feel like you're in danger, though. It's the danger zone. And what happens when you have poor vagal tone is you have like an elevated heart rate, okay? And you can have like low heart rate, very low. You can have issues with your gut, so like bloating, acid reflux, IBS, that type of stuff. You can also have poor mental health, which a lot of us experience. So that's due to chronic stress. Like stress is such a silent killer and it affects so many things. Sorry that this is shaking. But you'll also experience like anxiety, depression, things like that. You have difficulty regulating your emotions. And this is kind of where we're going with this is your emotions are going to be all over the place, all right? And that's usually what happens when you have poor vagal tone. You're not able to regulate yourself. It's ups and downs. Your body's, you're going to have insomnia, fatigue, dizziness. There's going to be so many symptoms and things that happen in your body. And again, we identify with these things. And you go to speak to someone, and what they're going to do is they're going to try to just help you with your symptoms, which that's what they do. That's their job. And it's very hard for them to break down everyone's lifestyle. I mean, you got to think how many people are coming through there to see a physician or go to a certain practice every day. And so they can't learn about your whole lifestyle and all these other things. So they're just going to give you what you need to get by, right? But you're tired of just getting by and nothing's really working. You want something that's sustainable and that's going to stick. And I hope also you would want something a bit more natural. Depending on, your situation, do what you need to do, of course. Like, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying a lot of us are trying to move into more of a natural lifestyle anyway. We want to get out of corporate jobs. We don't like, all the consumerism and everything that's going on in the world right now. And my thing is, we don't need to make drastic change. I have done that before plenty of times. Most people would not last gardening or farming, okay? You're not going to be able to take care of all the animals in the farm and everything like that. We do need some sort of a bartering system and things like that. There would be change in these areas, but you don't need to make drastic change, okay? What we need to understand, though, is how our bodies work. So that's what I'm going to break down for you. You need to understand that rest and digest means that we're able to regulate ourselves. We're able to be in more alignment, all right? And we get into our natural rhythm and flow at that point, okay? We have a rhythm. We have a flow, all right? And we're able to just be more in that than in this. There's something called your temperament, right? And when we think of temperament, we think of like kids that have temper tantrums and things like that. That means your temperature is going to be high, your temperature is going to drop low. When we feel these things in our mind, we're going to interpret it, again, based off past experience. So I'm hot. Oh my goodness, like something's going on. Usually that could also mean inflammation, right? Inflammation's not very good. It's there for a reason. This is also here for a reason, okay? Your sympathetic nervous system, all right? It's a simp, okay? It's there to help you out. Inflammation is there to help you out, but too much chronic, okay, is not good. Chronic stress is not good. Chronic inflammation is not good. Chronic heightened states and low states of emotion, up and down, fluctuations are not good. This is not regulation. It's not alignment. Okay. And so in order to get back to here, we need a better vagal tone. How do we do that? I'm going to explain that by the end of this video. You'll understand that. But I want to break down a few things for you. And I also want to explain why I'm talking about this, what I experienced myself. Now, a few years ago, I wanted to build my business. And of course, like I've just been in personal development for like almost 20 years now. I've been into just efficiency, productivity, all that stuff, learning and growing. I'm a growth mindset person. So I've always been about that. And I'm like, I know the strategies, I know the things, I join the groups. I can do a lot of things. I got a lot of skills and I have a lot of things I want to do, but it just gets overwhelming at a certain point. And then also I just felt stuck. I kept trying everything, getting up at 5 a.m., working out, doing all the things, joining the groups, like I said, like talking to people, making connections and everything. But for some reason, nothing was moving forward. Nothing was moving forward consistently. And it wasn't because I didn't believe it. I did the affirmations and everything. It wasn't because I wasn't trying. Okay. I just had some underlining things that I needed to work through. All right. Some of them were limiting beliefs. All right. And this is also subconscious. All right. This is under the mind, under the brain. We can't perceive it. It's just what's happening in the background. This is programming. Now, this is also the story that I'm telling myself in the background. I didn't know this. Also, I was conditioned to believe certain things. I was taught different things as well. And then also from my experiences, I believe things. So this is my subjective experience because I'm the subject, right? So this is my subjective experience. This is who I am or who I believed I was. I don't know, my face, I don't know what's up with that. But anyway, this is who I believed I was, all right? Now, I knew all these things. Like I had all these informations and all these goals. These are my thoughts, all right? Had all this information. I knew what was possible. But for some reason, I felt stuck, all right? I felt stuck. I felt chained. I felt locked up. When I was younger, I've talked about this before, where I felt stuck in a box, all right? I felt stuck in a box as my arms trying to push out. Okay. I didn't know what it was at the time, but I was having an identity crisis. I didn't believe the same thing as others around me. I felt different. all this other stuff. That's for a different story. But I felt stuck. And no matter how much I tried, I couldn't get out, or I felt like I couldn't. Again, these are belief systems. We keep ourselves stuck. I was feeling these emotions, and I felt like they were a part of me. I couldn't release them. We're just going to do this for some negative emotions. Now, of course, I would have affirmations. Okay? Of course, I had the goals and dreams. I was doing some positive things, working out, treating myself right physically on the outside. But I still had these beliefs. And then the outside world was also telling me these things too. And that's what I was seeing. So, I'm pushing against things that were pushing against me. And I'm also perpetuating them as well. Underlining, like, I didn't even know this. Again, this is happening around me, but I don't know that that's what's happening. Okay. So what I did was I kept myself small, but in doing that, I felt stuck. I was pushing and things, or something was pulling against me, no matter what move I made. Now, at a certain point, I quit my job. I felt burned out, all this stuff. I thought I could, again, just work hard. Now, this is me sitting in a chair, all right, and I'm working hard on my laptop, all right. Again, I got all these thoughts, these plans, these ideas. I'm like, I'm going to do this, invest in myself, and make things happen. But for some reason, something was still holding me back, and I couldn't figure out what it was, no matter what I did. I mean, like, here I am pushing forward again, reaching towards all those things, and nothing's working. This is where then doubt comes in. Fear. I quit my job. What's going to happen next? I'm going to be homeless. Guilt for making the choices that I did. Why would I even think that that's possible? Who am I? So now I'm telling myself these things. But, on the outside, I was physically strong. Okay? I felt like I was doing right. But now, because of all of that, on the inside, it was like, well, who am I? I'm not making any money. Something's wrong. Nothing's happening when I want it to. Now, these thoughts and the emotions that come with them are influencing my environment. Okay? I'm picking up on this subconsciously. This is conditioning myself even more. It's programming me even more. Again, subconsciously, I'm feeling these things in my body. I'm feeling all this in my body. No matter if it shows on the outside something different, I feel this. I'm absorbing this in my energy field. Okay? I'm absorbing all of this in my energy field. Now, this is my energy field. No matter if I look strong and capable, my muscles on the outside, what I'm carrying with me is this. That's not okay. No matter what I say to myself, verbally, affirmations, it's not working. I can look in the mirror and say these things. It's not working. So, what I had to do and what I learned to do, first of all, was understand that this is a battle. This is a war that is going on right now. And this is why this is so important. It's also why I say that staying well is a radical thing to do. I mean, look at the world, especially if you're in the United States. Okay, obesity is an epidemic. Like, look at the foods. The cheaper foods, of course, they're cheap and easy. Why are healthy foods so expensive? I mean, I don't know if you want to say like there's an agenda or whatever you want to say, but it doesn't help. It doesn't help. So taking care of yourself is a radical thing to do, and it is very important. And I say that because when you understand this, it gives you a different meaning behind what you do. when you understand that this is deeper than just you physically wanting to accomplish certain goals, you want to get to this destination, all right? We want to get to this destination so bad. And we think that's going to make us feel better. It's not, because when we get there, we're still holding all of this. We're going to take that with us. So we need to understand how to change this, how to hold it, how to be in alignment on demand if we can, ideally, or as often as we can, so that when we get there, we can still be here internally, because this is all externally. This is the outer world. This is the inner world. All right? And we're basing our value, okay, what we are worth, who we are, off of all of this external stuff. And when we think we've done it all, or we're trying and trying and trying and we're not getting anywhere, physically we're doing, because we think we need to do to increase our value of who we are. That's not working. We think we need to have to increase who we are and our happiness, but we got the stuff and it doesn't work. What is it? Again, this is on the outer world. This is what they want you to think will make you happy. And this is how the outer world can also dictate what's happening on the inside, because you're placing too much value on it, too much priority on it, okay, and too much expectation on it as well. So we need to understand what's happening inside, so that no matter what happens on the outside, we determine the value. No matter what happens on the outside, we can regulate our emotions. Not every day is going to be the best day, all right? But we can regulate it. We understand when we feel a certain way, what to do. Also, we don't identify with it. So even if we feel this one day, it doesn't mean that's who we are, because that's when we get stuck. The thing is, we need to detach from those thoughts, from those loops that we're stuck in. All right? In order to do this, let's understand that doubt, these are just different emotions and thoughts, patterns that will come up. So these are just some of the most common ones. All right? Doubt, shame, guilt, fear. These are not just emotions, okay? These are states, physiological states, states that we hold in our body and that we embody, and we take this with us. We start to take that into the world, okay? These are states of being that suppress our vagal tone, which means it makes us have poor vagal tone because, let's just say, this looks more like a hook, but I'm going to say that that's an anchor. All right. These are anchoring us. All right. This is a part of that ball and chain. They're anchoring us down, and we've attached to them because we feel them so often and we expect them now. Okay. These also flood the system with cortisol. Okay, and that affects your ability to think clearly and to move freely because, again, we're attached to them. Okay? What I want you to understand is when I talk about like mental slavery, the battlefield of the mind, it's not just a concept. Okay, this is literally your nervous system is stuck, locked in a loop that has been inherited, that has been conditioned, and you've just absorbed into yourself from your environment. Okay, let's say that this is your brain. All right, now all the outside things pour into your brain, you're going to start to absorb it. That's a bucket. You're going to start to absorb it. This is your brain on drugs. All right, and literally, and then like this is your brain with all those negative thoughts. What's the difference? Okay. One is based off of a substance, and one is based off of thoughts, emotions, and then you perpetuate it over and over. You're stuck in a loop. You're stuck. Something's holding onto you, and you're also attached to it. So you crave these things at a certain point because you're conditioned to believe that when you feel these things, you do what you've always done to keep you safe, and that's your comfort zone. That's just how you live your life. And I know it might sound crazy because you're like, well, I don't want to feel these, so how could I really want that? It's not you. Again, your mind, your consciousness outside of yourself. Okay, this is your brain. Your mind is outside of you. Okay, that's consciousness, awareness. Your brain is the one that's wanting this stuff. And your body, okay, is used to it. Your body is used to those signals. It's used to the intense moments. So it's going to crave those intense moments, because when I'm not feeling that, something's not right. I don't know what that is. That's not a part of my identity. It's not a part of what I'm used to. So something's not right, which is going to trigger the danger zone right here. And now we're just in a loop. So even when you start to get calm, you start to loop back into your usual pattern. Okay? Understand that these are not just emotions. These are anchors. These are attachments that your brain is used to. Your body is used to. Okay? And a lot of this, it happened to us. Some of it, depending on your age, you allowed it. You had made certain choices and decisions. Okay, we're going to take accountability for it. We're not going to stay stuck there in guilt and shame. Okay, so freedom from this, though. Now that we understand what's happening, to get unstuck from the loop, from the whirlpool that we feel stuck in, I want you to follow me here. But if you've ever seen the show One Piece, okay, I've never watched the anime. Sounds like a lot of episodes. I don't watch enough TV for that. But I did watch the live action on Netflix. And Luffy, we know, if you watch the show, spoiler alert, you might have some spoilers in this, but all right, he wants to be a pirate, okay? But there's other pirates out there, and our perception and understanding of a pirate is what? Negative. They're robbing, stealing, like, they fight, they take things, they hurt people, and they live out on the water, and they're like diabolical, they have no morals and all this other stuff. Well, Luffy is not that type of a pirate. He's on a mission to change the perception of that. And he's also going after the One Piece. So he's going after this goal on the outside. Now, it's a whole journey of, him learning things about himself, learning things about his crew, learning things about other people, his past, and all this other stuff too, along the whole series. But initially, he had the idea, he had the plan, he wanted to do it for so long, but it didn't happen. Well, he actually, ends up doing something to give him some powers, but basically, he goes out on the adventure to get the One Piece, to get the thing that nobody else has gotten before. All right. But along the way, he has companions, different friends, different people that he met. And these characters have certain things that they're attached to as well. And Luffy does too, because again, Luffy's like basing his value off of getting this. And if he doesn't get that, then who is he? Is he really a pirate? Who determines that? And so I'm saying that because I'm going to depict the fact that these are anchors in a ship. All right. Anchors in a ship. No matter how many sails that you have on a ship, if you're anchored in, especially with this many anchors, you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to spin in a circle. The waves are going to hit you, and you're going to be like anchored into this, and your ship is not, that's, okay, how about we do this? Your ship's not really going to go anywhere. It's going to keep spinning and keep spinning and keep spinning. You're just going to stay stuck in this one location. Okay, so this is why we need to let go of those anchors. But again, how do we do that? Well, one, we need to repair. We need to repair the vagal tone, like I talked about. Okay, we're talking about vagal tone. All right. We need to repair this. And that's through a few different steps in a journey I talk about on my channel, so subscribe for sure. Okay? When we repair our vagal tone, then we need to be equipped, because if you are pirates, or just sailing, you need to protect yourself against other pirates or other people. So you need tools, you need weapons, you need armor, right? This is a battlefield of the mind. We need armor. This is what I'm talking about. It's important to improve our well-being. And that's all of us, not just the outside. Okay? So our armor is our well-being. It is paying attention to our capacity. Okay, this is going to be a battery. All right. Oh, it's not the best battery. Okay. And here's another battery. So we're going to say there's different capacities. All right. If you're full, you might explode if you add anything else. If you don't know how to discharge or where to use it, okay, you'll probably explode. If you don't have enough, you probably have a leak somewhere. Something's happening, okay? But our armor is understanding this and knowing if this is happening, how do we discharge without exploding? We don't need to burn everything down. We don't need to make drastic change. We can do this intentionally because we're equipped to do this. If we have a leak, how do we plug the leak to then hold more capacity so we have energy to protect ourselves? So we have energy to do all these other things that we want to do. Okay? Oh, excuse my stomach. Sorry, y'all. I haven't eaten today. The goal is to record my content, so I'm doing this before I eat. A part of this, though, tools, okay, and armor is different supplies that we may need along the way, okay? And all this I just incorporate into tools. This is your tool bag, all right? And so we can't just be out here free balling it or whatever, raw dogging, whatever you want to say. All right. We need supplies. We need armor. We need to have tools, and we need to understand how to use them. Because if you have the tools, we might not all be so inclined to know how to use the tools, especially if we've never used them before. We were never taught how to use the tools. So even if we were equipped with the tools, what do we do? Right? We can be equipped, but what do we do with the tools? This is when we need a manual to use it, or training. And I also like to call it practice. Okay? This is why it's important. This is why I break down my videos in the way that I do. I always talk about practicing. Because when you practice, we learn how to use these. And when we learn how to use these, we can empower ourselves. We can protect ourselves no matter what comes against us, because this is what we're attached to in our subconscious mind. But there's also those cannonballs from the outside world, the news, relationships, okay? Just our environment in general. We got toxins. All right, we got toxins in food, in the clothes, everywhere, all this stuff, toxic relationships, all these things. You got other people telling you who you should be, what you should be doing, okay? They are trying to hit your ship. Some intentionally, some not intentionally, but either way, if your ship gets hit enough, it's going to go down, okay? You're not going to feel like you can do anything, especially if you're not equipped and you don't even know, even if you were equipped, you don't know how to use the things. Like Luffy, when he went out, he needed a crew. You need other people around you too. You can't do it all on your own. You do need support. It is very important. That helps you build resilience as well. Helps you build confidence too, okay? But he also didn't know how to do everything on the ship. And even if he did, he couldn't do it alone. He needed a navigator. He needed, well, what's his name? Said he was a captain too, but he needed another guy to help fight, people to watch his back. Also, when they went on land to look for certain things, he needed other eyes to go do that as well. So, and then they had to get a bigger ship. They got a bigger ship. They were able to hold more supplies. They were able to protect themselves more. The bigger ship is to make sure your capacity is able to hold what it can hold. Peak performance, some of us like to call in personal development. All right. But in order to have that and be able to hold that much, you need to understand how to, because when you get something, some of you, if you worked hard and you did get to a certain place, were you able to hold it when you got it? Were you able to sustain it when you got it? Or did you lose it? Okay. And that's okay. It happens. It happened to me multiple times. All right. But we bounce back. This is building resilience as well. But that also means we need to build, let's say our oars of thoughts that's going to help move us forward. Okay. And those are thoughts of, yes, these things happen, but I don't identify with them. And I am actually resilient. All right. I'm actually capable. This is confidence as well. All right. These are other positive emotions, positive thoughts that can help us move forward. But we still need to sever that tie. That's limiting beliefs. That's working through the story and the limiting beliefs that we have. I'll discuss more on how we can do that and more actionable tips on that. But let's move forward. Again, mental slavery is basically a nervous system condition. Okay? The condition is this identity that we've attached ourselves to. And that identity brings about emotions. It brings about influxes in stress chronically. Okay? It brings about a habit loop of being used to this, and we're not used to this. So when we do this, it feels uncomfortable. So we go back to this. Okay? So we need to armor ourselves with vitality. We armor ourselves with vitality. All right? We armor ourselves with wellness, well-being, with positive thoughts, with the new story. All right? Because we co-create. Okay? And staying well is the rebellion. Okay? Staying well is the rebellion. Because if you think you're going to go against a system, if you think you're going to go against what's happening, but you're not protected, you're not equipped, you haven't practiced, and think you're going to win, that's why we feel hopeless, because that's a lot. We need to have our community for sure, but we also need to equip ourselves, and we need to practice, and we need to learn and understand how to use the tools, what tools to use. So let's prepare for our new journey. We're going on a new journey. We're no longer accepting this. Okay, we know where we want to go. We were stuck in a loop, and we're setting the course to where we want to go. In the meantime, in the middle, is trusting the process. All right, we're going to learn about this. What's the manual? What's the tools and the supplies that we need? And how do we use it to empower ourselves? Okay, to stay well, to have vitality, to increase our capacity, to regulate ourselves, to switch between the vagal tones when needed. That's learning our rhythm. Because if I was on this ship with you and you haven't practiced, if you are in that ship with me and I haven't practiced, how are you going to feel? Okay? We need to empower ourselves. This is why I talk about this. This is why you are important. We all are. Especially if you're watching this video. Your fellow seeker. We want to go on the journey. We know that there's more. We know things can change. We want to see what happens. We want to find the one piece. All right? Whatever that is for us. But we need to understand and equip ourselves. So know that the shift happens in the body first. Okay, the shift happens in the body first, and then the brain follows. Okay, the shift happens in the body first, your state. This is your physiological state. All right, it happens in the body first. All right, and there's things we can do to trigger, to send senses through our body up to our brain. Okay, and kind of like the cups, you know, I don't know if you've ever seen those videos where the cup has murky water in it, but then we start to pour water in and it starts to kind of clear it out some. Okay, but we have to keep filling it, and it's going to keep pouring stuff out. Eventually, it's not going to be as murky. You might have a little bit of something left in there, but you have to keep pouring in to clear that water out. So that's pouring in to kind of clear that water out. Remember our mind. So we want to pour in as much as we can to kind of get some of that out. All right, we're human. It's going to happen where we have days. Again, we need to understand how to regulate, understand when these signals come up, when your body's signaling to your mind and you're feeling these things. It's just a signal. We don't need to identify with it. It's like, then at that point, what do we do? All right. Again, I talk about that on my channel all the time. But now, at the end of this video, I think I've talked to you long enough, and hopefully you understand this. What we can do now as the basics, the basic things. First of all, you know, Luffy has his flag. I need to come up with my flag, I guess. But what I want to talk to you about before I end this video is my framework that I've created. Okay. This is a part of the reset system. You're getting a little sneak peek into this. Okay. The para method. I like to say para, sounds a little different. But as we know, there's the sympathetic nervous system, then there's the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay. This is, and it stands for my framework. All right. And you're seeing it here first. And this is what I stand by. This is what I believe in, and this is what has worked for me. And this is what I created, the reset system. Okay. This is the kit, my toolkit. All right. Supplies, the toolkit right here. And you can see there's my method right there. Okay. And this is the planner / journal that has the actual system in it that breaks it down for you. That is the manual. Okay. So that you can practice this. I'll open this up for those of you who are new here. Okay. This is my reset kit that I've created. Okay. I will break this down in some other videos, but this is a little sneak peek of what I have right here. And this is what I've created to equip you all and empower you so that we can make it through the journey, the process, get on the other side, equip ourselves with vitality and wellness so that no matter what happens, we can be on that ship together and know that we will make it to the other side. All right. So this is my personal one that I've been using right here. You can see it a little bit better. That's my business and my business logo right there. So this is the reset system. Okay, I got my habit tracker in there as well. And then here, so you can see, are some of the cards, what the cards look like. I will break this down in another video, but these are different practices. And on the other side is going to be the para method. Okay, the different phases. And then we need a pause. So that's what the symbols look like. So you're going to see this more in my content. But this is the method in restoring your vagal tone. Okay, this is going to help with that, and in conjunction with the other tools in the kit. Now, you don't have to have my kit. I talk about this stuff freely on my YouTube channel as I am right now. Okay, but some of the things that you can do, my kit assist with that because it's tools, supplies. Okay, But the actual practice is to do the steps. Now, this is my framework because you do it in the order. There's reasoning behind it, of course. But a part of that is, of course, going to be breathing, okay? Breathing. Diaphragmatic breathing will help you regulate your nervous system, get a better vagal tone, okay? So breathing, this is slow. I'm going to hopefully spell this correctly. Diaphragmatic breathing. All right, this is slow. I forgot my N. This is slow breathing. To keep it simple and basic, I usually say 4 in, 8 out. Okay, you're going to breathe in your nose for 4 seconds, and then you'll breathe out of your mouth slowly for 8 seconds. This is going to regulate your nervous system. It's going to slow your heart rate down. It's going to tell your body that you are safe, so you don't need to be in a stressed state. Okay, this is also the state where our fight, flight, freeze, and fawn come up. So that's some of the things that happen. So if these things are coming in and I'm in that state, I'm going to react in that way. This is the only way I can react. My body's going to do it automatically. Okay, and all this stuff happens automatically. This is why we need to train ourselves so that when things do happen, it happens automatically. Okay, so the breathing, very important. This helps with so many things. This gives us the pause that we need so that we can align. Sometimes cold exposure even helps, but for women, you got to be careful with this, especially during certain times of the month and our hormones. But instead of jumping into a cold bath or something like that, we can do something as simple as putting a cold cloth on our face or on your neck, or take a quick few second cold shower and get back to your regular warm shower. But that is going to get us out of that state, out of that trigger that's happening. It's going to make your brain, so again, since this is automatic, it's going to switch to, okay, let me get back into my body. And then once you're back into your body, then we can make aligned choices. All right. Something else that helps is humming. Apologize for the spelling and everything, or my handwriting in general. But humming or singing, all right, this will help you as well. Literally toning your nerve if you hum. Okay. This is also why monks and people who meditate and things, they chant. Some people call it chanting, or also like okay. This is a tone. If you're in danger, you're not gonna be humming, right? If you're in danger, you're not gonna be singing and whistling. All right. So these are ways to tone your nerves, your nervous system. Okay. So, and then with the ohms and stuff like that, there's different ones to do, and they set different tones. It's something you can learn on your own if you want, but you can do or om or shh. So these different vibrations is going to help tone and help your temperament as well. Okay. And temperament, look, you can look into that too. I'll talk about it in another video, but that is in reference to tone as well, frequencies, vibrations. Okay. It's not just temperature. Okay. Another thing that we can do is aerobic exercise. So walking, swimming, something that's going to improve our heart rate, and not go too high, like HIIT workouts and things, and also not keep us low. We're trying to at least get our heart rate moving a little bit, especially if we're feeling depressed. So we need a little walking or swimming, okay? And this will get our heart rate up enough. I also am a big proponent on Qigong, okay? You can do some Tai Chi. Qigong is just my preference. And this is going to get your energy moving and flowing in this energy field, and we can clear out some of that dense, heavier emotions and things out. This is tapping back into our body, because again, we can't logically think ourselves out of this because we've tried and tried and tried. It's not happening. So this is getting us back into our body, but it's not in a stressful way, not in an intense way, not in a way of anxiousness that we need to do more of these things. It's in a way of calmness, treating ourselves right, so that when we do implement the framework, when we do implement the use of these tools, our body is now in a physiological state to where it can be influenced on a subconscious level, and we can then write a new story. But you cannot write a new story if you do not get into a state. All right, we need our body, again, in a state before we can write a story, a new story, and we can get to our one piece, to the destination. Okay, but your state first, and then we're going to adjust our story, which is our beliefs. Okay, this is our perspective on life. This is what we think is possible. This is the angle, how high we think we can go. Okay, this will also determine our attitude. And our attitude determines our altitude. Again, how high we can go. If we're down here and we keep these low emotions and we don't do anything, we're only going to see life through this perspective. If we can raise that as often as we can, we practice it, we start to believe it on a deeper level, which would be a knowing. We want to get to a point of a knowing. Okay, this would also be faith. This is feeling it and seeing it before we physically have it. Okay, if we can do that, we can get our attitude higher. Then we can see from a different angle. And when we do that, that changes what we think is even possible, right? Because you're seeing it from here. I only think certain things are possible. Maybe I can't even reach that, whatever it is. If I see it from this angle, I see, oh, actually, it's really not even that big. Okay, it's really not that big. I can actually come from here and go here, or whatever it is. You know, you're just seeing it from a different angle. Okay, but we need to change our state, practice that, learn the manual, and get training. Okay, subscribe to my YouTube channel for that. In the comments, if you would like my reset kit, go ahead and comment reset, and I will reach out to you and get you one of those and tell you how you can get one of those. But when we do that, now we can align with our story. Okay, and these are all processes and steps. Okay, and when we align with our story, then we can restore our vitality. We can restore our wellness, our capacity. Okay, and then when we do that, oh, I did align. Y'all didn't tell me. Maybe I did that intentionally, so you got to stay around to see the ending. Well, you saw my card, so activate. Okay, from there, then we activate. This is our strategy. This is the plans that we've known all along, the things that we knew how to do. Okay, this is the strategy. Okay, this is our plans. This is implementing the manual. This is taking the new route. Okay, this is our habits. Now we've developed new loops, new habits. Okay, this is the flow back to alignment, back to yourself. Okay, but in the past, we've done it the opposite way, where we thought we need to have or do before we can be. At the end of the day, we want to be. When we be, we're going to know what to do, and then we'll have. Okay, so hopefully this helped you. If it did, let me know in the comments what stuck out to you. If you like this type of a video, I was kind of all over the place. I didn't really plan out exactly how to do this and all of that. I kind of just went with it. So hopefully this helped. Thank you for sticking around. As always, before I leave my videos, I like to do my breathing. As you can see why I do the breathing, so that we can reset ourselves in the moment. All right, so we're going to breathe in for 4. Breathe out for 8. Okay, we can try some of these other things, and then we will move forward with our day. Eventually, we'll get into our limiting beliefs, how to develop a new story, how to change our beliefs. This is reprogramming of the mind as well on a deeper level, so that we can detach from these thoughts, from these emotions, which all that is us picking up on things that are in our environment. and our perception of it and understanding what that is and what it's happening in our body. What signals are these things sending to us? It's just our interpretation of it, okay? And so let's lower the weight of it, because that's all it is. We don't need to attach to it, and we can change. That's the good news, is we can change it. All right, so we will get there. Stick around. I'll talk about that in some coming videos. Just know that you are needed, that it can change. Right now, we're just in the middle, and we need to get into a state as often as we can. This is a practice, a daily practice that we do. Once you've done it for so long, it becomes easier, becomes innate and automatic. You know what to go to. You know how to recognize those things when they come up, and you're like, whoa, okay, this is what's happening. It's okay. I don't need to stay here for too long. I'll give it a little bit. After that, I can keep moving. Okay, even if I need to give it a day or two, but then I keep moving. I don't stay there for too long, because then I'm going to get stuck in that loop again. I don't want that. So I'm going to do the steps. I know it's my vagal tone. I'm going to adjust that. I can do that. I can do these things. I can smile. I can breathe. I can walk. Okay, and I can tell myself the new story. Now, this takes a little bit of ingraining, but again, we have to be in the right state to be able to receive the new. Then we receive the new. We're holding a different capacity. We've improved the leaks and the pressure. And then we can start to implement the strategy, the habits, and the plans to get to where we want to get to. Our one piece right there, our treasure, if you will. So thank you for sticking with me through this whole video. I appreciate you for watching this video. Sorry about all the shaking and anything else that's kind of crazy like my handwriting. But I hope that you got something from this video. Until next time, take care of yourselves and continue to shine on.